So I just want to provide a update on Anthony Stolars. He left the game whenever it was last week. So we did an MRI on him the following day. The good news was everything came back. There's no structural damage. There seemed to be still some discomfort with him and some issues moving his knee, straightening his leg. And there was found like a little, it's almost like a little pebble, like a little loose body that was stuck in behind his knee. So he's going to have a procedure to have that removed. It's not a repair. It's not anything of that nature, but it is. They're going to remove the. It's like a little loose body, I guess. It looks like a little pebble. And at this time, we're gonna list them as week to week. Hopefully, have a little bit better update. I would anticipate that we're looking in the 4 week, 4 to 6 week. Hopefully sooner rather than later. So obviously not. You don't want to see anybody out, especially a goaltender that's been playing well like that. But it has to be addressed, and we're going to get it addressed.
Is this the same knee that he had issues with before?
Well, he's had some issues with both, but yeah, there's been issues there. But it's not. This isn't related to any previous injury, or it's not a reoccurrence. It's not uncommon for players to have, whether there be little loose chips or basically the medical group calls it loose bodies, and it's in the wrong spot. And we waited for a few days to see if it would move, but it doesn't allow him to get full range of motion of his leg right now, so it's got to be removed.
So was it discomfort then?
Sorry?
Was it discomfort?
A little discomfort, but more so just being able to straighten, right? And you see in the picture, it's like a little pebble right in behind. So, like I said, hopefully, like I said, it's not. It's anytime you're having a procedure, it takes some time, but it's hopefully they just go in, remove, and he's on his road to recovery.
When will he have that?
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Here in town?
New York.
In the meantime, without Anthony, what's your level of confidence in the goaltending moving forward over the next 6 weeks or so?
Yeah, I've got lots of confidence in our group. Joe's played extremely well. It's again, I've said it earlier. We've been dealing. This isn't nothing new for us of dealing with some injuries. Is why we've got depth at all the positions. We've got Joe. I think has been tremendous. Joe and Anthony as a pair have been tremendous for us. But we got Dennis and we got Matt and Double A down there. So we feel that we've got some depth at the position, and this is why you have it.
How is Anthony feeling?
Disappointed, Jonas. But I mean, again, not. We found what the issue is, and now can get it addressed. And it's, again, I don't want to downplay anything, but it's the news is much better. Anytime you're not feeling great, we're glad it's not something where there's structural damage or you have to do something else, right? So he's feeling good that it's the issue's been identified and we're going to get addressed.
When deploying the goalies going forward,
Excuse me?
When deploying the goalies going forward, do you intend to kind of ride Joseph as a starter, or do you look to kind of split things up just to kind of even workload, just given what Joseph is kind of?
Oh, yeah, Craig and the staff and Curtis will put together the plan for that. Like I said, we've got full faith in Joseph, and we've got a busy rest of this month, right? I think we've had a back-to-back on every weekend of the month, which is unique. So, we're gonna need more than Joseph to play, but I think obviously Curtis and Chief and the staff will put that plan together.
Was it a difficult decision to send Fraser Minton down, given how well he was playing?
No, I mean listen, I think it was tremendous. He played tremendous for us, and Craig and I talk all the time. But we like this player a lot. If you saw the last few games, it started to taper a little bit, and then last game when he's not in the lineup, and that's Craig controls the lineup card. We obviously talk about it, but if you're not going to be in, and you're a young player, you got to keep playing, right? We're not going to sit him in the stands, and there's still some things for him. Like to me, I always find with some younger players, you came in, and then you come off it a little bit, right? You realize it's an everyday league, and so nothing but good things about how Fraser's played. I think we saw his brain, we saw all the things that he can do. He'll be back.
Given his experience, is Matt Murray maybe an option?
Sorry?
Is Matt Murray maybe an option to come up? And
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, when I refer to the depth, it's not just one guy, right? Like it's, we've got 3 guys that have been playing well down there. Dennis, obviously, had a tremendous year there last year, played well in his time up here, but Matt's, that's why we got Matt too, right? That's why we brought Matt there. Now he was dealing with a little bit of an injury. Touch wood. It's we anticipate that he's going to get in the net tomorrow. There in Wilkes-Barre, and then go from there.
What, Craig, is your level of confidence in the goaltending now moving forward without Anthony available for the next 4 to 6 weeks?
Yeah, I'm confident. Wolves played really well this year. Hildeby, he's come in and won us 2 games and played pretty well. I mean, it is what it is. It's a team game.
Do you think they'll split time, or is Wall going to be like the main guy?
Well, we got a lot of back-to-backs coming up, so we're going to need both of them.
You went back with the Nylander, Matthews, Marner, like front-loaded line. Was it just like what you saw in the last game that you decided to stick with it?
And I've used them time to time throughout the season in different situations in the offensive zone. But I thought they were good together. I thought they created a lot of good opportunities. I thought they, moved the puck well around well. The issue is they got to get to the net too. They can't all be on the outside, wanting the puck and making plays. It's about doing things right, and we'll see how it goes.
Does Pacioretty's play and finding maybe some of that scoring touch allow you to kind of make that move? Does that help or aid in it?
Yeah, it does. And, I made changes last game. You're looking for some offense, and I like that Tavares, Knies, Pacioretty line. I thought they were really solid in the game, and that's a big, heavy line.
Would you make a Fraser Minton's run here?
I thought he was good. I mean, I thought maybe dropped off a bit. It's like he missed the camp, hasn't played a whole lot. And we don't want him sitting out up here and not playing every game. I don't think that helps his development. I think he's going to be a real good player. We really like him.
What did you like most about Phil Myers these last few games?
Simple, physical, direct with the puck. Does a good job killing penalties too when he's out there. So, but he makes hard plays with the puck out of his zone. I think it's not always tape to tape. He gets the puck out, and he's physical back there and big body. Gets in the way.
What have you learned about John Tavares in the few months you've been here, as opposed to the guy that you coached against?
Well, he was a great player, and I coached against him too. He's just a worker. It's nonstop work, professionalism. Preparation is above and beyond, and that's what keeps him going, in my opinion. His preparation, that starts in the summertime, but it goes throughout the season, preparing, doing things right. His routine is incredible.
I figure Camp is back in tomorrow.
Camp will be back in tomorrow.
How much does that help with your flexibility to have another center?
Well, that's good, and he's a big body there, and he did a real good job with us killing would believe it was Marner, because Matthews was out. I thought they were really good together, and gives us more flexibility for sure. But I like his size down the middle, and he moves well, and like I said, he has his job to do, and he's been doing it well.
Leafs facing center crisis amid injuries, eyeing trade market for solutions. As the Toronto Maple Leafs battle through a growing injury list and a suspension, their lack of depth at the center position has become a glaring issue. According to Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman in his latest 32 Thoughts article, the Leafs are among the teams exploring trade options to bolster their lineup. This effort is coming amid increasing competition from teams like the Chicago Blackhawks and Nashville Predators, who have also set their sights on improving their center depth. Friedman didn't mince words about the Leafs' predicament. The teams currently focusing on centers, including Chicago and Nashville, must consider when others will enter the market. Toronto will undoubtedly be one of those teams, he wrote. While the Blackhawks and Predators may have an edge in terms of cap space and assets, the Leafs remain a team to watch as the season progresses. The Leafs situation is urgent, with up to 7 forwards currently unavailable due to injury or suspension. Ryan Reeves is serving a 5-game suspension, while key players like Auston Matthews, upper body, Matthew Knies, upper body, Kaje Jarnkrok, groin/sports hernia, David Kampf, lower body, Max Domi, lower body, and Max Pacioretty, lower body, are all sidelined. The team has even considered temporarily shifting Mitch Marner to the center position, highlighting the severity of their depth issues. This isn't just a short-term concern for the Leafs. Depth at center has been a persistent challenge for the team, and while stopgap solutions like Marner could help in the interim, the front office appears keen to explore longer-term fixes. For fans of the blue and white, this has been a recurring theme. The Leafs' center depth often becomes a problem at the worst possible times. James Myrtle of The Athletic recently added more fuel to the speculation, naming several potential trade targets who could help the Leafs address their issues. Among them is Ryan O'Reilly, a familiar name for Toronto fans. O'Reilly, who signed a 4-year, $18 million deal with Nashville in 2023, might be a trade candidate if the Predators' underwhelming start to the season, 6-11-3, 31st in the league, prompts a rebuild. However, his steep price tag and history with the Leafs, including rejecting a free agency offer less than 2 years ago, make this a complex and potentially unlikely move. Other names mentioned by Myrtle include former Leaf Nazem Kadri, currently with Calgary, as well as players like Michael Granlund, Nick Jugstad, Brock Nelson, Yanni Gourde, Trent Frederick, Radek Faksa, and Sean Kuraly. While some of these options seem more plausible than others, it's clear that general manager Brad Treliving will need to get creative to find the right piece without mortgaging the team's future. Cap space remains one of the biggest obstacles for the Leafs. Unlike teams like Chicago and Nashville, which have more flexibility and assets, Toronto is walking a financial tightrope. As Friedman noted, competition will intensify as cap-constrained teams strive to create room. For the Leafs, that could mean waiting for the market to develop further, a risky move given their current needs. The situation also highlights the Leafs' ongoing struggle to build a roster that can withstand the grueling nature of an NHL season. Injuries are an inevitability in hockey, but Toronto's current predicament underscores the importance of depth, a quality the team has struggled to consistently maintain. Looking back on recent years, the Leafs have often leaned heavily on their star players, particularly Matthews, Marner, and William Nylander. While these players have delivered in spades, the lack of reliable depth options has left the team vulnerable in critical moments. The current crisis at center is merely the latest example of this recurring issue. Some fans have called for more aggressive moves from Treliving, arguing that now is the time to strike while the team's core is in its prime. Others, however, are more cautious, pointing to the dangers of overpaying for short-term fixes. Striking the right balance will be key, especially as the Leafs aim to keep their championship window open. Despite the challenges, there's no denying that Toronto has the talent to be a contender, provided they can patch up their lineup. The ongoing rumors and speculation surrounding potential trades show that the Leafs are at least exploring every avenue to strengthen their roster. For fans of the blue and white, this moment feels like a pivotal point in the season. With a lineup ravaged by injuries and a tough schedule ahead, the Leafs must act decisively to avoid falling behind in the standings. The addition of a dependable center could be the difference between weathering the storm or watching another season slip away. Whether it's O'Reilly, Kadri, or another surprise name, one thing is certain: the Leafs are under pressure to deliver. And for a fan base as passionate and loyal as Toronto's, there's no room for excuses. The time to act is now, and Leafs Nation is watching closely. As the trade deadline approaches, the stakes couldn't be higher. Will Treliving pull off a move that solidifies the Leafs' status as a contender, or will the search for center depth become yet another chapter in the team's long history of what-ifs? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure: it's never boring in Leafs land. As the Maple Leafs navigate this critical juncture, their fan base remains as vocal as ever. Toronto is a city that breathes hockey, and the pressure on Brad Treliving to make the right moves is immense. Every decision he makes, or doesn't make, will be scrutinized, from talk radio to social media, where Leafs Nation is already debating the merits of the various names being floated as potential trade targets. Among the louder debates is whether the team should prioritize a high-profile acquisition like Ryan O'Reilly or Nazem Kadri, or focus on a lower-cost, reliable center who can fill a supporting role without costing too many future assets. While O'Reilly's leadership and playoff experience make him an attractive option, his contract and recent history with the Leafs add layers of complexity to any potential reunion. Similarly, Kadri's gritty, two-way playstyle remains a fan favorite, but his cap hit and availability might render him an unrealistic target. Another factor complicating the Leafs situation is their tight salary cap. While Chicago and Nashville can make moves with relative ease due to their financial flexibility, Toronto must navigate a labyrinth of constraints to make any trade work. This likely means including salary retention or moving existing contracts to make room, which could drive up the cost of any potential deal. The question then becomes, how much are the Leafs willing to sacrifice to address their immediate needs? One potential trade partner generating buzz is the Seattle Kraken. Yanni Gourde, a dependable two-way center, has been mentioned as a possible target. Gourde's versatility and championship pedigree from his time with Tampa Bay make him an appealing option. Seattle, however, is in playoff contention and may not be inclined to part with a key piece unless the Leafs can provide a substantial return. Another intriguing name is Brock Nelson of the New York Islanders. Nelson is a consistent scorer and reliable faceoff-man, qualities that would undoubtedly bolster Toronto's center depth. However, the Islanders are notoriously cautious when it comes to trades, and prying Nelson away would likely require a significant package, including picks or prospects that the Leafs may be hesitant to part with. For all the trade talk, some analysts believe the solution might come from within. Sheldon Keefe has shown a willingness to experiment with his lineup, and players like Pontus Holmberg or Fraser Minton could be given an opportunity to step up. While relying on less experienced players carries risks, it might be the Leafs' only option if the trade market proves too costly or slow to develop. Adding to the Leafs' urgency is the timing. The Atlantic Division remains one of the toughest in the league, with teams like Boston, Florida, and Tampa Bay continuing to dominate. Any prolonged slump could see Toronto slip further down the standings, putting their playoff hopes in jeopardy. For a team with Stanley Cup aspirations, failing to address their weaknesses could have catastrophic consequences. Brad Treliving's history as a general manager suggests he's not afraid to make bold moves. His time with the Calgary Flames was marked by blockbuster trades, including the acquisition of Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar in the Matthew Tkachuk deal. Leafs fans hope he brings that same decisiveness to Toronto, especially as the trade deadline looms. Beyond the immediate need for a center, this situation underscores a broader issue with the Leafs roster construction. Depth has been a perennial concern, and while Toronto boasts some of the league's top-end talent, their reliance on a handful of stars has left them vulnerable in moments like this. Moving forward, addressing this imbalance must be a priority for the front office if the team is to achieve sustained success. As the Leafs head into a critical stretch of the season, the next few weeks could define their trajectory.